Good evening to everybody. The International Human Rights are students, and here I put the asterisk so that I could know that I taught up to here. It is a statutory rape. Attempt to rape, including rape and statutory rape, means a statute clearly shows that it is a rape. So there are various decisions are there. There is no not necessity that the ejaculation should be there in the private part. Even mere insertion is enough. It is amount to the rape. So under the act, rape is punishable by up to 30 years of imprisonment, and attempted rape is punishable with the prison sentence up to the 10 years. So that is one of the international instruments says. Let us see that what instrument says 134. Let us see the 134 is concerned. Yes, section 6(3) and 8 of the Sexual Offences Special Provision Act, that is, we can say SASPA 1988. These provisions amended the Tanzania Criminal Penal Code, which carried life imprisonment as punishment for the rape. Human Rights Watch opposes the death penalty in relation to any crime, including the crimes of sexual violence, because it is inherently cruel and often subject to discriminatory application. So section 130, yes, that SASPA says over there, and it is amount to the rape. Okay, let us come to the, yes, this is the thing, 136, women victims domestic, yeah. So we are near to the rape, no? Where is the asterisk mark which I kept it here? Yeah, it is here. So now let us see that what refugee women in Tanzania have been largely unable to obtain the large redress to which they are entitled. Not only the refugee women, if any woman would be there, those who are subjected, it is a duty of the government to see that they should get the employment, number one. They should be provided the food and the shelter, but especially for those who came from the other country as the refugees or asylum seekers. Particularly in case of the domestic violence, even for the local subjects also, if any domestic violence is there from the mother-in-law side, father-in-law side, or any other bridegroom side, it is there, vice versa. Even the women also make the harassment, domestic violence to the husband because of her richness, because of her physical strength, because of various other factors. Suppose the woman is an employee, means the wife is an employee, and I think that a husband is a private employee, or sometimes he is a casual labor. At the time, domination would be more of whom? Anyone? Domination of whom in the house? Yes. Sakina. Sir, I don't know. At least say I don't know. Okay, are you hearing me? Did you understand my question? The domination of the woman and who is rich in the finance, naturally it will be there in the most of the cases. And yes, since the beginning of the 1999, there has been an increase in the efforts by, this is UNHCR, that is United Nation. What is that? What is the full form of? Yes, anyone? What is this UNHRC? Is it UNHRC? United Nation Commission. Anyone? Tell me. UNHCR, that is. That is the UNHCR, United Nations Human Rights. Okay, let us see that, because why I should have to beating around the bush. Because when something is already here, then we need not to beating around the bush, because sometimes we can also commit a mistake. At that instance, one should have to make it clear. UN, of course, UN, everybody knows, United Nations. and HCR, I think Human Rights Commission. I think that is the right word. Let us see that in Tanzania, what it says. Yes, this is the UN Human Rights Commission for the Refugees. That is the UNHCR. It will say about it. So what it says, yeah. Of course, UNHCR also stepped up our operations and a capacity in the Ukraine and neighboring countries, and your support can help ensure. So UNHCR also take part in the Ukraine and where they have come across to shelter, give the shelter to the people. So what is UNHCR? Full form. United Nations High Commission for the Refugees. Tell me, repeat. It is a United Nations High Commissioner for the Refugees, UNHCR. So that is actually the word which should be used over there. So to UNHCR, United Nations Human Rights Commission for the Refugees, to mobilize the Tanzanian officials, including the police, to assist the refugee women victim of rape in assessing justice through the Tanzanian court. A Tanzanian court will have to give the justice to the people. Suppose if they could not do it, they can approach to the Human Rights Tribunal. There is there in Arusha. Unfortunately, this has not been the case with regard to the domestic violence. For the domestic violence, even the local courts can deal it. Women victims of the domestic violence face significant obstacles in mobilizing the law to protect them. Of course, they are facing a lot of problem for the domestic violence sometimes from the wrongdoer side. There will be a threat. If you go to the court, if you complain, and we will kill you. So sometimes because of such a threat, they will also keep quiet. So perpetrators make such a thing threat to the victims. If you go to the court, if you complain to the police, we will kill you. Better keep quiet, because once you are a victim, I tested you, it's over, the matter is. I don't want again. So in that way, they will make it out, the rape victims. The rape, the person who makes the rape, they will say to the victim. So there is overwhelming resistance among the Tanzanian officials, including the police, to prosecuting the cases of domestic violence. So the people, even the police also, they will keep quiet and they will not file a FIR. They will issue the FIR for means first information report or the report to the court, even though the complainant has given the complaint regarding the rape is concerned. So that is the point here. There is a overwhelming resistance among the Tanzanian officials. Means a lot of pressure would be there. Of course, they make them pressure, who? Perpetrators, including the police, to prosecuting the cases of domestic violence, as discussed below. Further, women refugees are reluctant to turn to the Tanzanian justice system as a means of resolving domestic violence cases for a variety of the reasons, because there are many reasons are there. Even they cannot approach to the court because of their ignorance, because of the threat, because of the money, because of the poverty. So many other factors will play an important role that they will not approach to the court of law. Because their lack of confidence also there in the police. Because sometimes no, the police will take the advantage of this victim. They also use it for the BBC, body to body contact. Because they are fear being the ostracized by other refugees if they report their compatriots. Even there is a stigma also, because once the rape is done, it is a secret. But if it gives the complaint to the police, that means everybody knows that she was raped by somebody else. So that stigma would be there among their companions, among the other refugees. That's why the fear of that also, the stigma, they don't approach to the court, nor they will give the complaint to the police. And for their fear, their husband and partners on whom they may be, suppose if she's a married woman and she got raped over there, and she will keep quiet, because if the husband knows that she was raped, there is chances of him that, and he will divorce her. And the dependents also there, because the dependents, the impact on the dependents also, there is another factor. That's why they will not approach to the court, they will not inform to the police also. to whom they retain an emotional attachment. So there would be an emotional attachment also there of the mother to the daughter, and mother to the son, and mother to the children. So naturally, that emotional attachment also will not allow them to inform to the police, so that it will become a public. Because once it is done, and which will be not known to the anybody unless until she brought to the notice of the other people. I mean, who? The victim of the rape, about the rapist. So maybe he may be jailed, because there is a threat also there. And if that fellow will be jailed over there, who perpetrator, I mean the rapist, if once he comes out of the jail, and he will also kill it, there is also fear will be there. Of course, the time will be there. By that time, everything will be cooled down. So that is another factor. In short, the current system provides them little or no recourse of remedy against the domestic violence. So overall, what they want to say, or what this revealing is, domestic violence, most of the cases, it will not reach to the court, number one. Number two, the victim will not inform to the police. Why the victim will not inform to the police? Can you tell me, anyone? Shakila Pal? Sakina? Why the victim of the rape will not inform to the police regarding the rapist? Yes? Unmute and give me the answer. So these are the various other factors are there, which will not, what other factors? It is a stigma, because the rape, it is done in the secret. Suppose if she goes to the police, even the police take the advantage of it. Are you following me? Because they also want to taste her. Means they want to make the BBC with her. Number one. Number two, it will be known to the other companions in the family. Suppose if she is married and the husband also knows it. So that is another fear. They will not even go to the court, even they will not complain to the police also. Let it, if any rape is done, let it be secret and let it be forget. So, because they do have the fear of the perpetrators that he may kill. So that is the point over here which I want to share with you. So this is the about the Tanzanian and how it would be there. Let us see the another aspect of it. It is also human rights. There is a video, and I would like to show this video to you regarding the how the human rights will be violated. So this video that I would like to play, and because first I want to stop sharing, then I want to use the, because I have to unmute it, otherwise it will not play. Where is it? Let me first highlight it. Yes, it has come. How the human rights violations are there, it will be clearly shown in this video. Yeah, this we can cut it, then you can paste it, paste, and enter. Yes, this is the Magna Carta summary petitions, and there entitled video is there in the Magna Carta itself. So now I would like to share it, because before sharing, no, I have to unmute it. Yes, and now I unmuted. Now I will see where I have kept that file. Is it here? Yes. No, this is not the file. Let me check it again, because it needs a bit technical. We should be there when you want to play it. Yeah, this is the Magna Carta, that this thing that I would like to share, and we will say share. Yeah, share. Where is the Magna Carta? Could you see here? Yes, I muted. Yeah. Now you can hear this. Are you hearing?
Human rights is
Are you hearing?
geez, that's a good question.
Human rights.
Yes.
Wow.
I
Are
don't
you
even
hearing?
know how to give that a definition.
I would probably have to do a little homework or something.
Any right that I think just as a normal,
Are you hearing?
human,
The rights that humans have.
Oh, that's a very large debate.
Tú le puedes preguntar a 20 personas y te van a dar 20 diferentes opiniones.
Non saprei, una domanda complicatissima.
Yes, we just take them for granted that they're there, but we don't even consider what they are.
Are you hearing? Sakina?
Yes.
Good.
Human rights are the rights you have simply because you're human. It's how you instinctively expect and deserve to be treated as a person, like the right to live freely, to speak your mind, and to be treated as an equal. There are many kinds of rights. Most apply to a certain group. But human rights are the only ones that apply to absolutely everyone, everywhere. That means kids, old people, poor people, basketball players, garbage men, rappers, teachers, Africans, Indians, Albanians, Christians, Muslims, Kabbalists, atheists, your mom, your dad, your next door neighbor, and you all have the exact same human rights. In other words, they're universal. But the question remains, what are they?
Name the human rights?
What the human rights are?
The right to live.
Equality between all peoples.
Right to religion, the right to...
Is there supposed to be a list somewhere I should be aware of?
According to the United Nations, there are a total of 30 human rights, which are usually lumped together and called simply human rights. They're all listed out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the world's most widely accepted document on the subject. But it was a long time in coming. At first, there were no human rights. If you were in with the right crowd, you were safe. If you weren't, well, you weren't. But then a guy named Cyrus the Great decided to change all that. After conquering Babylon, he did something completely revolutionary. He announced that all slaves were free to go. He also said people had the freedom to choose their religion, no matter what crowd they were a part of. They documented his words on a clay tablet known as the Cyrus Cylinder. And just like that, human rights were born. The idea spread quickly to Greece, to India, and eventually to Rome. They noticed that people naturally followed certain laws, even if they weren't told to. They called this natural law, but it kept getting trampled on by those in power. Not until 1,000 years later in England did they finally get a king to agree that no one can overrule the rights of the people, not even a king. People's rights were finally recognized, and they were now safe from those in power. Kind of. It still took a bunch of British rebels declaring their independence before the king got the point that all men are created equal. Which isn't to say he liked the idea, but he couldn't stop them, and America was born. The French immediately followed with their own revolution for their own rights. Their list was even longer, and they insisted that these rights weren't just made up. They were natural. The Roman concept of natural law had become natural rights. Unfortunately, not everyone was so thrilled. In France, a general named Napoleon decided to overthrow the new French democracy and crown himself emperor of the world. He almost succeeded, but the countries of Europe joined forces and defeated him. Human rights was again a hot topic. They drew up international agreements, broadly granting many rights across Europe. But only across Europe. The rest of the world somehow still didn't qualify. Instead, they got invaded, conquered, and consumed by Europe's massive empires. But then a young lawyer from India decided enough was enough. His name was Mahatma Gandhi, and in the face of violence, he insisted that all people of Earth had rights, not just in Europe. Eventually, even Europeans started to agree. But it wasn't going to be that easy. 2 world wars erupted. Hitler exterminated half the Jewish population of Earth in horrifying Nazi death camps. And all told, 90 million people died. Never had human rights been so terrifyingly close to extinction. And never had the world been more desperate for change. So the countries of Earth banded together and formed the United Nations. Their basic purpose was to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person. But what were human rights? Were they the proclamations of Cyrus, the natural laws of Rome, the declarations of France? Everyone seemed to have a slightly different idea of what human rights should be. But under the supervision of Eleanor Roosevelt, they finally agreed on a set of rights that applied to absolutely everyone. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The French concept of natural rights had finally become human rights. So, in summary, at first, only a few lucky people had any rights, until one of those guys decided, hey, other people should have some rights too, which was great, except not everyone agreed. And it only took a few thousand years of fighting and declarations and more fighting until everyone finally agreed that human rights should apply to everyone. And they all lived happily ever after. Except for one little problem. If people have the right to food and shelter, why are 16,000 children dying of starvation every day? 1 every 5 seconds. If people have freedom of speech, why are thousands in prison for speaking their minds? If people have the right to education, why are over 1 billion adults unable to read? If slavery has truly been abolished, why are 27 million people still enslaved today? More than twice as many as in 1800. The fact is, when it was signed, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights did not have the force of law. It was optional. And despite many more documents, conventions, treaties, and laws, it's still little more than words on a page. So the question is, who will make those words a reality?
I have a dream today.
When Dr. King marched for racial equality, he was marching for rights that had been guaranteed by the United Nations for almost 2 decades. But still, he marched. When Nelson Mandela stood up for social justice in the 1990s, his country had already agreed to abolish such discrimination for almost 40 years. But still, he fought. Those who fight today against torture, poverty, and discrimination are not giants or superheroes. They're people. Kids, mothers, fathers, teachers. Free-thinking individuals who refuse to be silent. Who realize that human rights are not a history lesson. They're not words on a page. They're not speeches or commercials or PR campaigns. They are the choices we make every day as human beings. They are the responsibility we all share to respect each other, to help each other, and to protect those in need. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places close to home. So close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Yet they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood he lives in, the school or college he attends, the factory, farm, or office where he works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere.
So you might have seen it and heard it, how the human rights will make the evaluation from the Cyrus King to the present time. Yes, Sakina Pal, I could not see your microphone. Yes, now I could see. So you heard it, how it has emerged, irrespective of the caste, creed, place, and human rights are protected because they are the inherent rights. They cannot be waived. If you want to waive also, it cannot be waived. So that is the human rights, how it can be there. And this thing that we dealt in a different style. And I am sure that we dealt it, or we are not dealt it. Because the claiming the human rights in the United Republic of Tanzania. So, Zanzibar is a member of the United Nations. Of course, if we both are joined together, then definitely we can say, because Tanganyika and Zanzibar become a Tanzania, and they are the member of the, but they are at different times they become the United Nations members. For instance, you take the Zanzibar, which became the independent on the 10th December 1963, was admitted as a 1/12th state to the membership in the United Nations today. The delegation of Zanzibar seated in the United Nations General Assembly during the afternoon's meeting. So when did the Tanganyika become Tanzania? Read this one. Yes? Anyone can unmute and read.
On 26 April 1964, Tanganyika united with Zanzibar to form United Republic of Tanganyika and Zanzibar. The country was renamed the United Republic of Tanzania on 29th October of the year 1964.
Good. So why did the Tanganyika become a Tanzania? Of course, there is a story is there. Why is Tanzania called Tanzanian? So the name Tanzania was created as a clipped compound name of the two states that united to create a country, Tanganyika and the Zanzibar, the later two words, and added the IA. That is, it consists of the first three letters of the names of the two states, first three letter TAN, and Zanzibar, that is ZAN, then IA is added over there. And TAN and ZAN are the suffix is a IA to form the Tanzania. What is meant by suffix? Yes? Anyone? What is meant by suffix? If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know it, you say pass on. Yes? Participants, speak. Say I don't know. Suffix means which comes the later part. Prefix means comes front part. So it is later part is added on the IA. So we can say it's a suffix. What three countries are not the UN? Then generally we know it is the Palestinian is there, and the Vatican City is there, and the Cook Island is there, which is these three. Generally we say the still not the members of the UN. Of course, we repeated this one, but of course, the capital of the city of the Tanzania, when it is changed to Dodoma, anyone? When it is changed to Dodoma? Earlier, it is the Dar es Salaam is the capital of the Tanzania. In which year it is changed from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma? Participants, I would like to see your presence. Speak. Sir, there is a matatizo problem, sir, matanda. Donati Malibu. Say yes only. Nobody is making. Okay, I believe that you are hearing me. So, Tanzania capital, Dodoma, officially Dodoma city is the national capital of the Tanzania, and the capital of Dodoma region with a population of the 410,956. In 1974, the Tanzanian government announced that the capital would be moved. 1974, the Tanzanian government announced that the capital would be moved to Dodoma for social and economic reasons and to centralize the capital within the country. So that is the thing, because the Dar es Salaam cannot extend it, because it's the one way. In one side there is the Indian Ocean, and it's difficult to make it out center of the city, center of the country. So most of the people are assembled over there in Dar es Salaam, and a very congestion would be there. That's why they would like to see that the Dodoma would be a wide place, let it be developed over there, and hence it will be, and the center of this country also it will be, and hence it is shifted in 1974 to Dodoma. So these are certain things which I want to share with you. How did Tanzania become a country? Of course, after the World War, Tanganyika gained the independence on December 1961 and became a republic 1 year later. On April 26, 1964, it joined with Zanzibar to form the United Republic of Tanganyika and Zanzibar. So we are dealing the international human rights law, how it will function in the Tanzania, that we have seen it. And these are the simple questions where we want to share with you to know how it can be done. So now the United Republic of Tanzania is a member of the United Nations and the African Union. It has ratified the many human rights conventions, like the compare list. Many conventions are there, and thus has made a binding international commitment to adhere the standards laid down in the Universal Human Rights documents. So because Tanzania is one of the country which is a member of the UN, then naturally whatever the charters and whatever the special agencies did the declarations, protocol and treaties, when one country becomes a member of it, and they have to obey it. The rules which is framed over in the charter, and when you signatory and you ratified it by the parliament of the country with the accent of the president, it will, your laws, means country laws, will be domesticated. At that instance, it can be a true country would be there. If such a thing is not done over there, if any human rights violations occurred in the country where there is a member of the UN, naturally sanctions would be there from the UN. What are the sanctions? Yes? Anyone can unmute and give me the reply? If you don't know, you say pass on. What are the sanctions? Economic sanction, transport sanctions, diplomatic relations will be curtailed, and the people will not be given a visa to visit that country. They boycott all the other countries. The United Republic of Tanzania is a Swahili and English-speaking country in East Africa with an area of the 943,203 square kilometers. It is bounded with the Indian Ocean on the east. On a globe scale, if the population density is low, the capital of the country will become the independent between the 9th December 61 and in 1964, United Kingdom is a Dar es Salaam. So United Republic of Tanzania is a member of the regional economic communities. Regional, what is a SADC? What is my full form of a SADC? Anyone? Please, you have to speak it. Otherwise, I don't see that I am speaking to the wall. What is SADC full form? SADC. It's like one of the countries, Tanzania, also SADC countries. Is the full form, meaning or full form? I think this is South African Development Community. Sorry, Southern African Development Community, not South African. Southern African Development Committee. And Tanzania is a member in the SADC. It is a regional economic community, and they are also taken an action if there is a human rights violation should be there. So, yes. And EAC. What is EAC? Anyone? EAC. What is the full form of EAC? Please speak. Sir, there is a problem of our internet. What is EAC?
Community.
East African Community. What are the countries coming in the East African countries? How many partners are there in the East African country? Yes.
We have 7 now.
What are they?
currently we have 7 of it.
What are
Tanzania
they?
itself, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, that is South Sudan, that is Congo.
So this comes under the East African community. See, here I have shown.
What? Sorry?
Here I have shown what are the countries are there, East African community. See, the Democratic Republic of Congo, it is also there. So total, how many are there?
Yes.
Total, how many are there? Sir, we don't know. See, here it is there. Republic of Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, you are right. Malibu, you are right. 7 countries are there now, East African community. So even the Congo also joined over there in the East African community, because I did not know the Congo also the member of the state. Okay, now let us see the with the Human Development Index 0.53, United Republic of Tanzania ranks 151 out of the 182 countries ranked in the UNDP. The report, that is the old report, the 2009 report is there. Of course, here United Republic of Tanzania has ratified the optional protocol of the UN Rights Convention, has accepted the competence of the corresponding union treaty bodies, and the inhabitants of the United Republic of Tanzania and their representatives are able to invoke their human rights through these bodies. So if any person is where his human rights is violated over there, yes, they can approach to a competent court. If the court will not satisfied over there, we can approach to the tribunal which is there in the country. So of course, this the Arusha, it is there, human rights tribunal. Because of the Rwanda genocide, they kept it over here, so the cases will be dealt if any violations are there. So all inhabitants of the United Republic of Tanzania may turn into the United Human Rights Committee through the procedure 14503 to the special rapporteur for the violation of the specific rights, or ECO-SOC of the human rights violation. Now let us see what is the ECOSAC. What is meant by ECOSAC? Because even myself also did not know what is ECOSAC. Let us check it. What is ECOSAC? Sir, how could we remember it? So try to remember as much as you can. If not, at least you write those where the membership is there. This is ECOSAC, I said. Paste. Yeah, ECOSAC. Yes, this is the Economic and Social Council. Economic and Social Council is one of these 3 principal organs of the United Nations system established by the UN Charter in 1945. So ECOSAC is nothing but Economic and Social Council is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations system established in the UN Charter 1945. So that is the ECOSAC for women's rights violations. Since the United Republic of Tanzania is a member of the UNESCO, yes, the member state of the UNESCO, and its citizens may use the UNESCO procedures for the human rights violations. What is meant by UNESCO? Anyone? What is meant by UNESCO? Sir, everybody knows it. Of course, UN everybody knows. Then E stands for economic. S stands for, is it for the social? So now say copy, let us see. When you see, we should be, try to remember it. Suppose if you don't know, remember the full form of it, you also write the UNESCO, rather than showing the ignorance to the examiner. So UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Tell me, what is the UNESCO? United Nations? Yes, Donati Malibua, second of all, United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organization. It is a specialized agency of the United Nations aimed at promoting the world peace and security through the international cooperation in education, arts, science, and culture. In this all aspects, UNESCO and almost all the countries in the world, they are the member of the UNESCO because they want it will be the peaceful security and both in the education, in the arts, in the science and technology, and keeping the culture of the country also. So this UNESCO, its citizens may use the UNESCO procedure for human rights violations in UNESCO's fields mandate. So there are rules and regulations would be there in the UNESCO, and those rules will be applicable to the members. And if any member here in the state violates it, then action will be taken against by the UNESCO rules and regulation, what it says about what action should be taken. So employers or workers and certain other organizations of the United Republic of Tanzania may file a complaint through the ILO procedures in cases of those conventions which the United Republic of Tanzania has ratified. If there is a matter of the workers are concerned, the ILO made certain provisions and Tanzania has ratified the ILO conventions and domesticated in the law, and you will find in the labor laws the procedure adopted in the international instruments are seen over there. Since the United Republic of Tanzania is an AU member, African Union member, its citizens and NGOs may file a complaint to the African Commission on the Human Rights People's Rights. Yes, we can file it in the EU, African Commissions on Human and People's Rights, the court, we can file it in the regional level. So they may also file a complaint according to the EU guidelines, European Union guidelines on the human rights defenders, death penalties, and torture to embassies of EU member states and the delegation of the European Commission. So European Union will also take it, and there is the African Commission for the Human and People's Rights is there, and where we can file a case and we can get the justice. So in case of the human rights violations by the multinational enterprises, they may also invoke the national contact point in OECD member state. Again, we have to see what is the OECD member state. So sometimes now you have to remember the full form of it because it will give the more pleasure to the examiner and OECD members. And here, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Japan, Korea, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Mexico, the Netherlands, the New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Slovak. These are the countries where the OECD members. What members? OECD members. Then what is OECD actually? Full form. Sir, how could you remember it? But anyway, Tanzania is not the member of the OECD. The full form of the OECD is Organization of the Economic and Cooperation and Development. So one way we can say the other countries, most of the European countries are there and the members of the OECD, but not Tanzania, not India, not any other East African countries. So Organization of the Economic Cooperation and the Development, OECD, and the member states are there. And yes, members, the United Republic of Tanzania has joined the International Criminal Court. It may thus be called upon in the cases of the crimes. Of course, International Criminal Court, where it is? International Criminal Court, where it is? Participants, speak. Only 5 minutes are left.
At Netherlands.
International Criminal Court, where it is?
At Netherlands.
What is that? Repeat.
Hague in Netherlands.
Netherlands, The Hague, the same place where the ICJ is there. And what the International Criminal Court will do? An individual can also approach to the International Criminal Court. Even a nation also approach to the Indian Criminal Court, International Criminal Court. When the criminal matters are there, where the justice will not be given over there, in the country, even by the apex court of a particular country, then people can approach to the International Criminal Court to file the case. Yes, but the only condition is they should be a member of the state, number one. Otherwise, I don't know whether the non-member state people also can approach to the International Criminal Court. I doubt. Because I also not that much studied over there what are the International Criminal Court. But one thing is very much clear. Because when you say the United Republic of Tanzania has joined the International Criminal Court, that means countries will become a member to the International Criminal Court so that the jurisdiction the country will give to the court. At that instance, yes, one can file a case against it. If the country did not give the jurisdiction also, the criminal court, if anybody files a case over there, that definitely the International Criminal Court will interfere it and see that justice will be done. So let us see that if you just type it in the Google search engine regarding the International Criminal Court functions and what are the cases will be decided and how it can function, we can see it. Earlier, International Criminal Court is there, the same palace where the ICJ is there. But now it is shifted to the another place, not in the same palace. It was there, now the ICJ. So that was the today's class, and at any time, it will be closed. Let us see the image of the International Criminal Court. But I have shown you the Tanzania, dumisha